Hey guys, welcome to the OG's Power Hour. John's doing his push-ups.
And we're doing push-ups. I was just saying, Ken, this is what I'm going to look like when I'm 70. At 70 years old, I'll be doing push-ups with you guys. My hair will be white, and I'll be filming it. Yes, keep pushing.
Cool.
All about the biology. We're here with Mr. Toad and Ken, and, well, we're stepping up. You know why? Because we're educating you guys. Come join us. Let's talk about, what are you talking about today?
Avoid these mistakes in your grow.
Get in here.
And that's
mistakes. I had a lot of fun this weekend. You guys mind if I share something right away?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, one thing you have to avoid. Here's a mistake, and I took a picture of it this morning. I posted it on my Instagram. So as a gardener, and you have to water plants, one thing that is most important is your plants need water. Fun fact about water. It's our flow. Number two, fun fact about water. If it goes to minus 17, it freezes. And if you don't have anything in there to keep it warm, the whole 45-gallon drum becomes a big ice block. And it expanded the resins and stuff. I'm outside looking at it because I'm not growing right now. But it just took me back to that memory of having the kettles and having all the things in there to keep making sure that the water doesn't freeze. Because all of a sudden you go from 14 degrees to minus 17. You're like, what the fuck happened? Water heaters are a key thing. These are some common mistakes. You're seeing it all over the internet right now. Guys, his pipes are breaking, the resins are, and these are experienced gardeners, and they know you have to prepare for the winter. You have to prepare. You are a gladiator, and winter is our season. This is our time.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure that that water doesn't freeze. So you have to stand guard at the door of your garden and make sure it is equipped. When you open up that door and you go into your garden, that cold air comes in, that's causing powdery mildew. That's why we have separate doors. You open up one door, you go down, you sit in that room until it gets hot again. You do not open up the next door right away. You're going to get that draft. You get PM, you start getting problems. These are things we've done over the time. This is why we have separate doors in and out. Come on door, close the door. It's minus 40 outside. Sit in there, warm up, smoke a joint, then open up the door into your garden. So here's some common mistakes that we used to make in the past, and I just want to share that with you guys right from the get-go this morning. Say yes. I'm smoking fucking hash and drinking some tea.
Cool. So Tony, what's something you remember from your past that was a mistake that has happened?
Letting somebody come to the place. Once you've got a facility up and running, the only people that come there work at the motherfucker. If you don't work there, we don't do tours, we don't do walkthroughs, we don't care about what you want to see. We'll go over to your garden and fuck around, not mine. That's what. After consulting multiple different levels of growers, from actual beginners all the way up to people running facilities, it's always the same issue with that kind of thing. Like, everyone wants to show everyone what they're doing now that cannabis became legal, and within the next 3 weeks, you're probably going to start fighting bugs. A powder mildew shows up, like John said, because those people that come in don't know your SOPs, and you're already giving up on them by letting someone in there. You might as well just start fighting that as soon as they leave and go preventative instead of trying to chase something. That's where having a good integrated pest and pathogen IPPM method going is a great thing. Don't utilize it only when you have bugs or only when powder mildew shows up. Utilize it whenever you have plants, period.
Yeah. Well, and it doesn't even matter that it's a cannabis plant, but a backup power supply for the bigger guys. Like, we've been hitting like minus 40s here, minus 35s, etc. overnight. And I have to be very careful going into my grow because I just have a single door going in, but I've got a large volume of space to eat up some of that colder air before it gets into my flower room. Oh, you're on mute there, John.
It's kind of a common mistake that we used to make. We didn't really take an account for it. And they just started seeing it. And that's why you'll see them in a lot of rooms that we built in the futures. And when we're looking at, always had those doors. Because you don't understand. I mean, if you're a personal gardener, you're going to get a little bit of problem. You're a commercial grower. You can't fucking do this shit, man.
Yeah.
You just can't. You
You
can't be
can't
right.
pay someone to do that. You can't be risking a whole grove over it. You can't when it's the bottom line.
I see it everywhere. I see it in so many micro grows. I see it in so many places. And I'm like, I just give my head a shake. I'm like, okay, you spent like how much on this? You didn't fucking put in a fucking buffer door.
Mm-hmm.
They don't consider these things. They don't consider the way the temperatures fluctuate. They don't consider, well, the whole thing is the plant's going to keep growing, but the conditions around it, you can't change them that quickly.
Yeah.
It's just little things. And another thing is like, I mean, I do a lot of curing cannabis. I put cannabis I store for 10 years, 5 years, 3 years. I'm smoking hash from like now it's over a decade now, right? And it's beautiful. And I grab some flour, little things that I'll be finding. What's the best way to store your cannabis? Well, keep it hanging for one. I still have weed hanging from last year.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make hash out of that, and that's the best way to store it. But the weed that's in the jar is put away for the last year or two. It's different from when it hang dries and just sitting in the open air at a relative humidity in between 65 to 67. I always say this is standard. Of course, it's minus 40 outside, so I don't know what it is in there right now. I went in there, it's kind of everything else is frozen. The weed's like, woo, it smells pretty good. The best way to store it is actually, when I pull out the old TY and you see you got some hash in there, and I grab, you could just see the shine on this.
Yeah, let me bring that up larger here. Oh yeah.
1, 2, we got some black hash, and then I got some beautiful Moroccan hash.
Nice.
And I know exactly. I mean, Brian's probably watching this right now. He probably gave this to me in like 2009. And every once in a while, I get to pull out a pair of scissors. Where's my scissors? Right here. And I get to cut off a little piece. What I realized over time is really storing my product and keeping it as in a medicine. What I need over time is this black hash, guys. The old school
hash is
such
good.
a beautiful high, such a beautiful way of storing your cannabis and just keeping it for generations. When you need it, you can just. I'm out of all the other resins because I'm just minus what outside and waiting on things. One thing, the lessons I've learned in life is when all else fails, it's that good old black hash that I can go back into. And it's funny, it's not 5,000. So this was 2012, the Medtainer, of course, TY. So 12 years, and I have these little storage of hash everywhere.
My boy, bring it.
Well, and you have to consider that hash. You look at the old Afghani gold seal. That was stored in caves for years upon years upon years, and it only got better once it's got that coating on top. The biology is still working inside, changing those compounds. It's like when they put the biology on the International Space Station. They found that biology survived. It just covered itself. The outside crystallized and died, but the stuff inside survived. And that's the hash. It just keeps working.
Oh, what did I just do with that piece of hash?
That I can't say.
Right here. Okay, let's smoke that stuff. So, like I said, it's what I'm going to look like when I'm 70. I'll still be doing push-ups. I'll still be mean. I'll still be smoking. And I was just talking last night as I pulled out some resin.
Mm-hmm.
This is Medi Kush. And Vance Band just around this for me. This was around COVID. This is 4 years old. And we smoked it last night because I pulled some out.
Yeah.
And like Medi said, the high from this, it was like an aged scotch, like an aged wine. It was just an amazing. I'm just really surprised on the flavors and the different genetics that give us those flavors in time, and the ones that don't. As Mr. Toast on his head, it's really defining some of the 8-year-old cures, some of those cures that really bring out the true essence of the plant. And we don't look at that because we're so busy consuming it or trying to hide it because prohibition and stuff. But then there's a few of us that just didn't fucking care. Like, I'm just keeping it. This is kind of what I do. It's my medicine, and I'm just going to keep it there. And now seeing those changes and how the chemistries have changed of a lot of these different products over time, the depositories look the same as what they were a decade ago.
Yeah.
So the shatters completely dissipated, gone. Some of those things, they're just melted into the paper, and I can show you some of the stuff that I got from Fight. I'm like, I shouldn't name companies from others, and it's just completely gone. So I'm starting to see patterns of resins of how we store and how we're able to keep it for longevity. And it comes down to the old school way, guys. We've seen it all over the world. It's the hash that makes it.
Yeah.
Not the resin, it's the hash, it's the resin.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, with that, we need the seeds.
Of course. And we do have a question that's popped up, so maybe we'll address that first before we go on. Is runoff important with slow release dry amendments?
Are they, if they're like a salt? Yes, you need to have a small amount of runoff, and you need to keep that soil moist. Don't let it go through dry points, because you're going to increase salinity in the soil by doing so.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're trying to do is just remove old, used up stuff and put in new. And I'd be using a enzyme also in there, like canozyme or hygrozyme or something similar. When I'm doing my fertilizer, so it'll be stripping old salts out of the soil system.
Yeah, and that's for a salt based. For an organic, your basically your biology. If you have a large enough soil structure, your biology is going to buffer all of that, and your runoff really isn't necessary to track. But definitely in the hydro system, or even a cocoa or something where you're using that kind of nutrients, definitely you're going to have to look at what do you got there, John?
I was reading the back now. I didn't see all the companies on the back because heady happenings. It's just kind of like I have to change dab mats whenever I bring out different pipes. And this is happening actually. And I look on the back, I'm like, oh shit, look at all the advertising on the back too. Pretty good, smart. I like it.
Yep.
Because once in a while you do pop back all these great little things. So yeah, just I'm sorry, I disrupted the team. Apologize.
Oh no, that's all right. It's time for you to answer. What's your opinion on is runoff important with slow release dry amendments?
Well, you can never let, in my opinion, my hallucination is, I don't let my plants dry out. I always give a runoff on everything that I've ever done, and it's always used processes and stuff like that. So these are soilless mediums. And when you use cocoa, you never let cocoa dry out at all, zero. So certain things I'm going to say is, and then living soils, you don't let your living soils dry out.
Nope.
Water's your flow, right? I talk about water facts and what water really means and what we are and what everything is. It's like leaf and everything else. Like that's what we eat, leafy greens and stuff. It contains all the water that we need in it, right? Someone did a video when they squished the button, all the water strains out. So if you're letting your plants dry out, we used to do that. We used to let the plants dry out. We used to cause all kinds of problems. I'm starting to see patterns from the past.
Yeah.
But we're seeing it. I've been growing for 30 years. I mean, it's a lot of experience. I've seen it. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, that doesn't work that well. Yeah, that's a stupid move. It's called laziness. Not knowing, understand that we need drippers or we got to need lines and doing this and that and really dialing it down, depending on what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
All right. If I always say the hardest thing for people to learn as growers is the weight of their pot and overwatering or underwatering. That's it.
Yeah.
And he's trying to find ways of trying not to do that. So,
and each system can be different. So, like you mentioned, coconut has the ability to retain up to 30% oxygen. So you can run water through it all the time.
There you go.
It's very hard for it to be depleted of oxygen by overwatering. And then if you go to soil, on the other hand, if it doesn't have enough living rhizosphere going, biology in there, if it isn't large enough itself in volume, and it doesn't have enough aeration in it, overwatering will kill things. So that's where having too much water and needing to understand how much your pot should weigh when it's at the right moisture level. I don't like relying on soil meters unless it's a system like the blue mats.
Yeah.
Because you can dial those in pretty good. But still you should be going in there and checking your system. Like if you have a system where maybe your soil shrinks up and one of your carrots pops out, and now you're not getting any water to one section because you're relying on it being the only redundancy in the system. So the always have 2 to 3 redundancies in there. It's 2 different ways to water yourself, including in one of those, making a third version. So if you got to bring buckets, make sure you've got the correct water going. It's going to make everything work. Cocoa, a living soil, hydro, and even hydro multiple different ways. Are you doing a drain to waste? Are you doing a recirculating? Is it an ebb and flow? Each one of those is going to be different and should be treated as such.
Oh shit! I remember I used to do flood and drain. Done so much stuff. Like as you just said that, I was sitting there. Oh, I remember all that systems, right? So, I mean, it is really all of these. Yeah, thank you. You're just awesome there, Tony. Just talking about all these different ways because water there's just so many ways, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So many
There's
ways.
only one right way. There's always only one wrong way, and that one wrong way is us fucking around. So, like, if you're gonna try a way, the people that you have utilized it, and not just look at the pictures that they post. Hit them up. People will talk to you these days. Ask them what you should be looking at is failure points, not how you succeed. It's like in hydro and a failure point, not cleaning the system is a major failure point. Like a lot of hydro guys learned over the years to have a second of everything. So when it was time to clean, you just switched over to the clean ones, and then you had the next 2 weeks to clean the dirty shit, and you just keep rotating that when you're on a smaller level. On a large system, you got a workforce that's going to do that. It's a job.
I would say who doesn't have that?
Yep.
I have 3 water chillers.
Mm-hmm.
One would break down or something would happen. Not one. I got 3 dehumidifiers and a big one. So when one break down, I had the kickers or roll some in. Everything. Because you know what? Something's gonna happen. No matter which way, who you are, something's gonna happen. That brand new dehu you just bought is gonna break down in week 7 on a weekend, and you don't have time because nothing's open on Monday. And it happened Friday night at 11 o'clock. And if you didn't have a backup, your garden is done by Monday. Mm-hmm. So you have to prepare for everything. Everything. Because you know what? It's kind of like when it went from 14 degrees down to minus 17.
Yeah.
They weren't prepared. Maybe they're not experienced growers. Maybe they've just been doing it for a couple of years and haven't been through this. We've all seen it. I've seen it several times. That's why I have kettles and water and everything. And I would already be pre-planned for that.
Mm-hmm. So that's 100% correct right there.
Yeah. 2 is 1, 1 is no one. Yeah.
1 is none. Like having one event, one light, having one fan, having one dehu, having one water heater or chiller. They're gonna fall down on you. They're gonna eventually go out, and you'll learn it growing long enough. It's gonna work for one run, but right in the middle of your best runs when they're gonna all fucking do a multiple failure.
No, it will go down during your best run, and that's when you have to prepare.
Like Pembroke bringing up rolling blackouts. We have those here. Yeah. Don't wait until they've turned the lights on you to go try to find a fucking a generator. You already have a generator in your system. I've got 2 here for myself because I need one for my food first and heat for my mother. And then anything backup, I can just take my lights and dim them down to fucking 10%. Just having light on them is all I need. And with the same cycle, that's better than having the lights come on and go off or stay off for 3 days. You could be in the middle of a breeding run and waste everything, especially on like a feminized, like what I have going here. If my feminized goes down, I wasted all kinds of time and electricity for nothing. Absolutely nothing, because the plants aren't in the position to flower out like I needed them because I've been feeding them completely different. So it's going to come out as an inferior product to start with. I usually put them in smaller pots when I'm flowering for seed stock because I don't grow a bigger plant. So if I have to now switch that to my flower, I just wasted way too much electricity to grow tiny fucking outputs of flower that become usable. So now I got to turn it all into hash, which is another expense, all because of me not planning ahead of time.
Well, planning ahead is the most important part. And as I'm looking at the picture I posted this morning about my res all frozen and stuff like that, right beside that little thing there is, of course, a little generator.
Mm-hmm.
Been there. Done that.
See this up here.
And you need to have all of these tools. So what mistakes is not having a backup. not
Yeah.
having something. And if you can't afford it, then go grab some. All my stuff has been, I just kept buying new stuff. So my back was where my old.
Yeah.
Always upgrading. Don't forget. I mean, this is a passion of mine. And when I was 16 years old, I said I was going to grow it legally and I was going to make it my life. Well, I'm 52 years old, so you can do the math on that, right? It's not really too much of a no-brainer. And I have D-Hughes, I have Lendo D-Hughes, and then Eborf, and then there's a crew of people you're going to deal with. And as we get more into new legalization and where we are, now we got to take a look at, you can buy a tent fully ready to go, plug it in, plug and play. You get these things going. And then you guys, the thing is you're going to learn along the way. Remember, 20% of the problem, 80% of the solution. And exactly what we're talking about here right now. If you're going to be growing in a tent and you're going to be growing in an area and outside of that tent, it's -2 and inside the tent, it's 15 degrees. You open up that tent, you're going to have problems instantly.
Yeah.
You're not thinking. Why? Because you're excited, right? You're seeing different things. Wow, check this out. And it was a good conversation I just had last week because Buddy walked into the can. He walked in, closed the door, and opened up the door right away. And I shook my head. He goes, "What?" I says, "You're going to get powder." He goes, "We just got a few specks on the inside here." I didn't have to say. I said it before he said, "Oh, we just got it right here." And and this is the reason why.
So, and what Silly Billy's saying, Ken, about you needing a generator, it doesn't need to power the whole grow. You only need to power one light.
One light.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
One light and heaters. Heaters. Up here right now, it's heaters.
The heater, right? It's running the heater, it's running one light. I'm not too concerned about the dehumidifier at this point because there isn't enough heat in the room to cause the humidity. So it's just maintaining it and getting that heat so we don't get those fluctuations. And the most important part, if you get those fluctuations and it happens and you're in week 6 or week 7 and you're a licensed producer, you're done. You might as well just cut that shit down and go throw it in the garbage because you're not going to finish it in the next 2 weeks and it's going to cause problems. And you got to take it to market. It's going to have powdery mildew. It's going to cause some problems, stuff that you can't get around. So you can either hit it down now, extract it into some kind of like resin type product when it comes down to making a distillate or a BH or anything like this on legal market. There's so many different ways of being an extraction. And then you can bring that to a market. So at all different stages of the cannabis plant, you're going to be able to harvest cannabinoids from it. Right from the micrograins from the first 7 and 9 days of its vegetative cycle. We already proven that. And we have that already going into studies and stuff like that. So take a look at how we can take a look at these things as from mistakes and things that we've learned and the problems that we've had to adapt to.
Well, and it's amazing how the mistakes have caused, leaps and bounds of understanding with this.
Wait a second. There was 1,000 mistakes made before they invented electricity. 1,000 mistakes were made before so what are mistakes?
Just a way to learn.
Progress.
Bro. If you're not failing at things, you're not fucking trying. You're copying something and being safe. You got no balls to risk your own ability to step forward into your own heroic unique identity, who you are, who you can be grateful for, and what you can achieve. Stop copying others. Become who you want to become. Step into that light. It's the growth that we learn. And actually, best thing to do, guys, is the match and mirror. Learn from the guys that have gone through all the mistakes. Learn from the ones that have screwed up over and over again. Because that's how creation happens. As we collaborate together to create a more growth future for everybody. This is this next phase, guys. Reading cannabis roots and traditional therapy with a future potential for treating inflammation. You know what? I got great on this. You know what? Because I've actually got Holistic Healing and Natural Health, which is another chat GTP that I've created, dealing with cannabinoid therapy, natural conditions with holistic health and healing, dealing with plant therapy, dealing with holistic healing, which is breath work, ice showers, constant daily. This is all being created. So the new era is OpenAI, is ChatGTP. And if you're not learning it, get on it. And I have cheat sheets on this, guys, because I've been creating them and working with other people. So you just know AI is going to be the most important tool you'll ever use in your life, and start using it now. Stop screwing around. If you're scared of it, I don't give a shit. Do it. Because we have all these things. And as I can sit here and talk about the AI revolution, as you guys saw, you guys are cringing right now. Don't cringe, because there's ways of looking at it. And there's an AI adoption ladder that we've been created, and I love this adoption ladder. You chat on AI, you play around with it, you do it monthly. So a lot of people are doing right now. They're seeing it's kind of cool, it's kind of fun. It's a system, it's a process, and it's a weekly thing. So you're creating systems around it. It's writing your paragraphs, it's doing book work for you, it's doing all these things we learn, lessons that we're learning, things that you're going to be able to do your lawyer letters, right? Writing all of those doing business plans. It's really a click of a button now. And I even have some AI stuff here that we can get into at the end here, as I just mentioned this right now. You know what, guys? Toad's going on here. There's tools we're getting into right now. Tools, products, and daily agenda. So using the tools within this, which is actually the ability to us to take a look at what's happening within our gardens, looking at focusing on different ways of being able to grow, asking and creating your own custom grower, putting your own information in there. So everything that I've learned through my time, no sound?
That he's got no sound on LinkedIn. Jason, I would say, well, he can't hear me, but head over to YouTube. I can't actually respond to him, but
you can type in something. Go.
Yeah, I'll have to go to LinkedIn. So you guys keep talking. Oh, there we go. He says.
There you go. That's awesome. Because we got these, like all these new. Now I do stuff on my Mac and things come up like this. We're doing all new AI tools, the protocols now, doing it by the hour. Everything's is APIs. Really application, process, and integration what's going into the system right now. And custom is a pioneer, and we get into custom ChatGPTs where you can actually create your own advisory boards, create more intellectual things. There is so much information in OpenAI. You can really find anything that you want, and you can kind of use that ability to kind of push yourself forward. So looking at what we've learned is now, and the mistakes that we've made, all those mistakes are there for you to actually learn from.
Yeah.
Like, the buffer doors and having a generator on the side, making sure you have not one, but a couple different things. Cause it goes down to -40 or all these little things, and all the things that have happened in the garden and where I'm going now is really the beautiful thing about it is it manifested that people were going to be growing it and we'll be able to buy it in the stores.
Yeah. And we are. And the thing is getting more and more out in the world, which is a fantastic thing.
It's around the world the green way. We're doing that, and you can't stop what's happening. It's holistic health, natural healing, cannabinoid therapy around the world the green way. You know what? You guys are all doing it together as one. As we go around the world, and we call that the Dream Team. Dream Team was created on the Pacific Northwest, down through California, all the way up on this side, BC Bud, where we're going around the world the green way and really helping people understand its true potentials. And as we start seeing, I even made a custom little globe of where cannabis can grow around the world. So you can see different parts where it's growing down in Africa, different parts of Europe, different parts of Canada, the US, where it can, and you can see where it can and cannot grow. As it changes our path and as we move forward, it's the energy that we need. As we come into the new focus of AI and we take a look at how machines are going to start running things, we have to start running ourselves. We have to start looking at how we're growing as one. And remember to create safety words. We talked about this. This is the most important thing that we talked about, and I think it was great. Have a safety word that only you and the people close to you know. They access your banking or anything like that, or know your personal things through your family, your banking. Because with OpenAI now, they can mimic your name and everything. They can copy you. I can have someone completely have my voice, 100% call my bank. Say, it's John Berfelo. I want to get in my account. Oh, perfect. What's your safety word? Someone calls your family. Oh, we're going to get some medical information from you. You get those telemarketers, and it sounds like your dad now calling you at home. Hey, John. Hey, how you doing, Dad? Perfect. Yeah, I want to get something. Can you try me some money? Yeah, sure. What's your safety word, Dad? See, the AI is not going to know your safety word.
Yeah.
So here is something, and probably one of the biggest things that I'm going to educate on right now, and it's tips and tricks within your garden, within your life. Have a safety word that only people around you know. So if anybody comes upon that safety word, you can now find out if it's fake or real. World is changing. Create a safety word for the ones close around you so they know it's actually you. Because that is a reality now. We said
Mhm.
safety tips in our gardens. That's what we're talking about. Safety things to do, right? And safety where we go. So set that safety boundary for yourself and your family and the ones that you love and where you're going in this life. And in that garden, remember those buffer doors when it's cold
Yeah.
out, when it's hot out. Those temperature changes is probably the biggest reasons why people have so many conditions in their gardens, from PMs, from all these different things, is because of that mad fluctuation of temperature from opening, closing those main doors.
Mhm.
So yeah, safety, guys.
So I'm not exactly sure on this question. Is everyone as excited about triploids as I am? I'm not sure what triploids are.
Triploids. Toad.
Toad, you're muted.
They're plants that have 3 sets of chromosomes instead of 2. Like normal cannabis is
Okay.
diploid. It
Triploid, like
has 24N on the haploid count. So when they go to breed, the seed itself has to have that same amount. And since there's 2 parents, they have the ability to each pass 1 chromosome each to that offspring, but they pass them in pairs. So through meiosis, it has to shed some of them. If they don't have those 2, they cannot be fertile. So they won't make a seed. So they're taking plants that are triploids, which can't be pollinated very easily by a diploid. So they have the ability to grow flowers in a garden that don't get pollinated. So they're taking CRISPR and editing the genetic code to create a plant, or they're using chemicals like coisilene. I always say it wrong. Fucking, it's a chemical that can mutate the chromosomes from 2 to 3, and cause some of the seed pool to become triploid. They look like normal cannabis. They can have slightly higher elevations of terpene profiles. Um, they're very, very difficult to pollinate. Some of them can make a few more seeds than others. Some won't make almost any.
Mm-hmm. Well, Shadow Max saying he only got 12 seeds his first cross.
Yeah, so like the Mac one that's out there, it's a triploid. So if you take the Mac one and try to pollinate it, you could put up like 5 grams of pollen on it. Say that's a lot of pollen, right?
that's
You
a
take
ton.
that amount of pollen, cover the plant. You might get on a 3-foot plant outside. You might get 100 seeds on the whole plant, where the plant next to it'll give you like 10,000 seeds.
Exactly.
So,
That's
and then in those, there are going to be some mutated seeds. There's going to be some that are unviable, and then there's going to some that will germinate. You're going to have to select through to find something that you like, and then that plant, hopefully, from the seed stock, is also triploid. That way, you can grow that in the same garden with the same techniques and for the same reasons, which is to essentially make sure you have seedless crops with flower. So what they want to do is, because of hemp going to become legal worldwide eventually here and very soon, no one's going to go through fields of hemp to look for males when they're producing it for biomass. They don't give a fuck,
Don't give a
right?
fuck.
If you're out there trying to produce flowers with no seeds in it to maintain the seed stock, or you're breeding, right? And someone down the road's got some fucking pollen from a plant that they don't give a fuck about, and it pollinates yours, you're eventually going to lose all the work you put into it through cross pollination, because that's what cannabis does. It's an obligate outlier breeder that will breed with what it can breed with when it's another cannabis plant.
In other
So
words, it loves to fuck.
yeah. Right? Maybe someone's out there growing monoecious lines for seed stock so they can make seed oil. That's going to produce pollen that's going to travel. And if it's close to you, now you've included monoecious lines in there, which are plants that have perfect flowers and will produce male and female throughout the plant purposely. Some lines have been bred for this, for making bird seed or for making hemp seed oil. You don't want to have to go out there and shake a male. You want each plant to pollinate itself, because you're just harvesting seed to destroy them for the oil
Yeah.
within. Right. So a lot of times those could be autoflowers. They're going to be hemp because of what the market is right now. So trying to breed a high cannabis or a type 1 or type 2 cultivar and not knowing that someone's using that over there could have devastating amounts of effect on a business.
Yeah.
But for growers, like, it will ensure that you have a successful harvest of unseeded cannabis, more than likely, with enough of a with such a low percentage that may get pollinated, that it still would be considered sinsemilla. Like, it's going to be
Yeah.
so random unless you literally pollinate that plant. And I've done that with the Mac. I've done that with its offspring. My space cheese females were the same way. There's a few other plants out there right now. Humboldt Seed Company is releasing some triploids that they've created. Oregon CBD also has some triploids. So there's different ways to go about breeding it. You can hopefully find them natural, very rare, produced chemically, and now they can be produced using like CRISPR or Tensor to alter the stuff. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say right there. I always get it wrong.
And I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. John, you were going to add something there, brother?
I was going to look at the toad because the information is awesome, and I got to learn some things today. It was pretty cool. Thank you, dude. Appreciate you.
Yeah, because I had no idea.
I didn't have any butane because, I'm still waiting on my car since someone tried to steal it October 31st, and it's still with the dealership being fixed.
Oh, Jesus.
So, I didn't really get a chance to try and find butane because when I buy butane, I go down to the wholesaler and I buy so it lasts me for like 10 years. So last time I bought butane was 2014.
Oh,
so
jeez.
It was pretty cool. So I have no butane. I go downstairs, I'm getting ready to do some painting, and I move a little thing.
Butane.
I'm just like, the universe loves me. Just saying. So I have a nice dab sitting here, and I'm ready to do a beautiful dab and just take a look at reflecting on, looking at triploids, looking at seed, looking at breeding, and looking at all the things that we've learned, and that education that's able to pass on forward. It's just it's beautiful. Back to the Future.
Shadow Mag. That kind of depends on what they really are. Are they true breeding back crosses, or are they just like polyhybrids back cross to themselves through other polyhybrids? Which still isn't a true F1. You need true F1 to end up with true breeding plants to begin with your project. Then you back cross to one of the parents or to the line. There's different ways to back cross. So are you doing a back cross one to a single plant? Are you doing a back cross to the gene pool it came from, like the F1 gene pool? That's also considered a back cross.
And he's saying Chem Dog BX3 and BX1.
What's your BX1?
I gotta keep muting John's torch. It's too dang loud in the background.
Right, the Chem Dog back cross 3. They take the Chem Dog and cross it to something cross the Chem Dog, and then the progeny back to Chem, and the progeny from that back to Chem. Or
breeding is a lot of work. It takes years, and it's something that just is the fun if you're going to put your life into it, and then that's going to be your life's work, and that's fantastic. And I acknowledge you guys for that, and just keep pushing forward. It's like me myself. I'm just like a home kind of breeder, having fun, creating something that I was actually gifted, and I've been doing it for so long. It's just to really know that the genetics that I have, of some of those genetics that have created a lot of the flavors today. So it's a lot of work. So if you want to get back into, we got those strains, but I mean, it's been years and decades of breeding that's gotten to where we are, right?
Yeah,
just makes it. Yeah, I mean, it's time. I got a strain here right now that after 126 seeds in a decade, the one that's sitting over there, I can't wait to smoke with some friends here. It's just such an amazing high. It's like, I think I found that next one. It only took 10 more years to find it.
10 years, guys.
So, Shadow Mac, I don't know those. I don't know what Poochie Papaya or Snaps is myself. I've never worked with them. I don't know how they breed. That's where I'm talking about with cannabis specifically, not all plants.
Yeah.
Because we have this breeding thing happening where people are breeding with the name on the pack instead of the gene pool within. Everyone wants to say they're selling F1s of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even if I made that, I'd say the same thing. It's just a polyhybrid seed line that's still being produced that you're trying to lock something from one of the plants in without knowing if it's is it homozygous for the trait you're looking for, or did you get lucky and find one in them, and now you or I or anyone is under the impression that those now are all the same, like they're all going to be the exact same as the one I just found. They're still not going to be that way.
No, every seed's different, just like every human's different.
That doesn't make them bad. I'm not trying to say that with these folks.
Yeah.
With cannabis, because it's so personal, I'm under the impression in my own garden, unless I'm breeding for specific things, if I'm just like the old me without breeding, when I just was growing plants, and I still do this, I put stuff in there that I think I want to smoke. It's not like I don't care where it came from or anything. Like I usually have the seeds because I smoked the weed from somebody, or like my friends made them, and then I got the seeds from them because like I got to smell it at least. I know what's going on. It's not just random anymore. So I pick it. It could be anything. But when I'm breeding, like especially currently, I'm trying to breed only my genetics that like I'm 3 to 4 generations into, not just like this plant and that plant now and this plant and that plant. I'm trying to put work into those with selection and open pollination.
Yeah.
And for me, that's how I would get to an F1. And my backcross 2 with the Ghost OG, I can put Ghost back into it. I can start to inbreed it, line breed that now, and go 2 or 3 generations in the F3 breeding, and then sell those as F1s. It's just kind of with cannabis, it's whatever's selling.
Yeah. John, you were going to say something?
Life's fantastic.
That was a good dab, was it?
Well, the thing is and I did a dab with Hetty the other day, and I actually filmed it. I talked about it. That was like an aged Scotch or an aged wine. It was so fine. I know when that was made 4 years ago, and I found that jar because I was out of resin, and like I had a bunch of these kinds, and I start realizing that when they bring you jars like this, and you smoke them in like a day, and they're like gone, and like, dude, that was like 6 grams. Like, I have jars because I grow my own, and then people extract it and give it, sell it. So I just start looking at the costs and what we're able to do, and then finding that gem that you make, or all the old school hashes, and realizing that all that old cured resin is just the most beautiful medicine that I'd be able to obviously keep for myself. And it's those treats that kind of push you forward. And we talk about that, and we talk about what works and what doesn't work. And I just got relief. I feel great right now. And it happened at 42 minutes live too, because we're at 43:32. Because a minute and a half ago, I usually tell John what's up. I'm like, I feel great because it was 42 minutes in. 42 minutes. 42. It's my favorite number. And it's I've been saying it for so long. And as we jump into 2024, 2024, we're gearing up this new change, that palindrome event. Because at midnight, we're going to have that change into a new era for the new generation, for everybody around the world. This happens once for humanity around the world. And the OGs are passing on to the Gen Zs, the next generation, with legalization. They're not having to go through the trenches and the jails and all the stuff that we have. There's still people in jail for simple crimes of growing cannabis. It's fucking bullshit. We're going to get into the next change, and the new generation doesn't know that, and they can stand up and fight for the beliefs of what they believe in and see what they have. Passing on the torch, I say. 420 Live 2024 is just around the corner, guys. And I'm just excited. I'm excited. You'll be see a lot of 42 for me. Grow Your 4 for 2024. No, that's a big campaign I'm pushing. As you're here in Canada, Grow Your 4 for 2024. If you got 4 clothes, 4 seeds, give them to someone who wants to grow. I got a ton of seeds of so many different flavors from people that have given me, and the ones that I've had over years. I don't know if they're going to pop or not. We're talking about that. But we can all grow. I don't know where you are in different parts of this world. Check your laws. Like I say, if you have a plant in a solo cup and you're just growing it, not to get, just to grow it, just to give it your life, to give it you structure, to give you discipline, to keep it alive, to grow.
Mm-hmm.
This is your year to grow, guys. This is the year we all grow. Because as AI is growing, we need to grow. Government's bigger things on their fucking minds right now. So grow your own. Grow in peace. I'm sure Mr. Toad's got a lot of seeds he's willing to he's got websites where he can get all his genetics. He talks about it all the time. I just live in Canada.
Dog a garden, man.
There you go, right? And all of those talk about for
Canada, there's going to be some free stuff coming. I've got stuff going to a guy that does a show on YouTube. Let's Be Buds, and Ken. I'm going to get some stuff to Ken also, and
Perfect.
Ken will be do giveaways up there for everybody.
Cool.
I'm not trying to make any money off stuff, but I'd like to get them out to everybody that supports us and myself, and just anyone that wants to grow. Like
the whole idea, guys, here is it's grow your own, and the keys is LEDs. Yes, I'm going to pump my book right now. Of course I am, because you have to understand how to grow inside and what you're growing with. Because the keys to your growing future is you. And you might need a little information to get you along there. And you can get this. I have a custom ChatGPT related to this book and all the information. So you're going to be able to go to my thing, and I have all of my knowledge here and my videos put into this book. And then it's staying up to date with new technology. So you're going to get the whole bit of everything in there, right? So we can help each other. Oh, yeah. This is about helping us grow around the world, guys. Operation Let's Grow. We need to do this. The world needs growth, and it's translated in all different languages too. Yes. So what are you doing to help that next person with their growth? Get people growing, guys. Get them to see that future. I always say cannabis, cucumbers, peppers, and tomatoes. That's what Horatio was about. Peppers and tomatoes and getting that going. And we're going to celebrate celebration of life, guys. As we talk about that, dedication, Jason Wilcox and Horatio Delbert was this book. My next book is dedicated to Paul Hornby and Greg Williams. These are some of the OGs in the industry that put their lives on the line and then expressed it by vocally telling the world and creating. We're going to celebrate their lives on 4/19 in Vancouver. So make sure you go to the 420 VancouverBC.ca. I'll make sure that's up right. We're going to have a celebration of life. We're going to have a legal cannabis crop across Canada for medical, central, and BC direct delivery. So you can actually judge what lane is going to work best for you. And this is the legal market, something that we fought for, something I dreamed about. I created a vision, and we're going to make it real. So we're going to celebrate these lives and the ones from even French and Cannoli down the US, all these people that got us to where we are. And at that moment, we're going to go into that new generation, that new next, indefinite. I always say, it's 2024. And that moment at that time, everything we fought for and everything we're fighting for happens because we've made it work. Yeah. So the next generation can take it to the next level, because around the world, the greenway is what we're looking for. Look at all of our brothers and sisters in different parts of this world where it's not legal. They're going to jail. They get fined. There's some serious crimes related to marijuana offenses, and we need to change that, because together we can do that by simply growing your own. That is it. Just plant. Let's just grow. There you go. Each one. One person can help them. We can't change the world, but somebody can help somebody.
Yeah.
So keep helping the next person. Sharing those seeds, sharing what we've done. Seed batches tested for HLV. My seed batches go back so dated there was no HLV, so I'm not concerned about that for me. So be careful. Exactly. There's all these things that are happening in the world today, and we're having these tests coming up from Plant Check. Philip Lucas, good friend of mine, he's looking at a test. We'll take it home, be able to check for HLV. They're working on this right now. So we don't have to send it into a lab. It'll be a simple test, be able to see if it's got some trace in it, so you'll be able to know to kill it or not take that chance. So that's it's around the corner. So it's not going to be
down here. I've done it with I sent 8 of my plants in to be tested. The
They're gone.
parents. All 8 of them for 8 viruses and hop latent viroid. Then from there, the 2 newest lines that I had released, I'm not trying to push nothing, but just so, because Shadow Mech said he wanted to test his, and I respect that for him saying that and even thinking that, because most people aren't doing this at all in our community. I took those seeds from that and sent the actual seeds in and had the seeds tested randomly. I took seed and grew the plants and had the plant from that seed stock tested on both of the ones that I had sent in this last batch. I did that with 8 of the other moms, not the whole seed lines, but just having the parents being clean should ensure that there's no virus or viroid in that seed stock. And I think more breeders should do this, especially with the amount of money people are charging for seeds. You only got to sell 2 packs of seeds to run 10 different cultivars to tell you if you have any one of those 9 viruses or viroids. And that should ensure people that you're putting in work into making sure that what you pass to them is clean. Like doing it on old gear, like John said, is kind of redundant because we can't do anything about that. Even if we found out it was dirty, all we can do is stop giving it out because we didn't even know that was here or existed. Like when we talked about it, they thought we were conspiracy theorists and stuff because I was talking about this for like 3 years. Sitting in that hospital bed, I sounded like a conspiracy theorist. When I couldn't move, I was researching crazy stuff showing up. And this was something that I thought was going to come, but not on the level they say is here in California. And that's why I started to go into my own plants and my own seed lines. And like what John said, I've got seed stock that I made going back to 1996. Right? If it's in that seed stock, we have to throw everything away. If it was that, it's here in that random of seeds that came from a place that you had to be to get the seeds, like in the middle of Humboldt County in an old hippie's hand. Like if he had it in his plants, we're all fucked. That's just our reality. And we're not there. But that's what they wanted it to sound like some of us were saying when we were talking about this.
Look at the generations and even talking about that is like, when can we start identifying the changes within the plant genetics and stuff like that? 2012, 2014, we start seeing these changes. We start seeing some of these different flavors. We start seeing watered down. I call it McDonald's. It was no more caviar kind of weed. It wasn't getting me high for longer anymore. I wasn't getting that high for like 45 minutes. When I smoke like what I just smoked, I'm still kind of like, I feel relaxed because I know my strains. Right
now, I don't know about you guys. We had large, our medical system here allowed large clone houses to start up, and you'd go in and get clones out of trays that guaranteed they were all took from the same pair of scissors, right? In a facility that nothing was cleaned until maybe the end of the day if they were lucky, and it was rampant everywhere that was happening. And eventually it starts getting into all kinds of stuff. If you guys had the same kind of setup, it had to happen up there because you guys have real cultivars that's passed through the community. That's for a fact. It's around the world, a lot of these things.
You know what? There were some main cloning houses that, they discovered a lot of things. And now we have there's one place up here called Lifestyle Botanicals. They supply the clones to everybody, a lot of the LPs, and to the legal system. You can buy them from any store. You can order them, and they bring them in. And they have a hops latent virus lab on site. I was at the facility. I have to shout them out because the work that they put into discovering it, they're the ones who discovered it. They're the ones who put all the work into it. They're the cleaning. They put in testing. They are the leads. They are the number ones. John and Mark and those guys. I went to the facility. I was pleasured to have a walk through and be able to see everything that they're doing and how they're doing it. It's small, it's beautiful, it is the cleanest I've ever seen any facility in my life. They're just the inventions they made for it and stuff like that. And then you get people like that, and it's good to go. And this is going to be the important part. We have a time frame of anything that we had a disease that was presented. That disease is going to last forever, but we can limit it and determine some of its sources. Just like all the diseases out there in today's world. HIV used to be very, very rampant. We've now been able to identify it, and there's people in that era of time is where that kind of is leading. We don't hear about it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not there anymore. So this is what's going to happen with HIV. It will dissipate, but there's a lot of seeds that have been bred during that time frame that people don't even know they have.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. So when's that time frame? So now we got to identify is it 2018? Is it 2020? When is the time frame that we can specifically say, okay, this is when, here's a stemming, and we don't have those.
Yeah. 2010 is when it started showing up here in the facilities.
See, 2010. So now if we go back to 2010, so now you're kind of getting into kind of thing. So I can go into my own brain, and most of my stuff, 2009, 2008 is when I bred a lot of my stuff. So I stopped breeding at 2010, 12. Then we just did some recent stuff now, because everything I talk about is 15 years old that I've been working through. So it's time framing it now. So now I know my stock is good. That makes me feel comfortable, like really comfortable, knowing what I have. And I said the change started happening in 2012. Started seeing some differentials coming into flavors, and then it changed 2014. Started seeing things, but it was properly identified. And now we're learning from it today. So where's your seed stock from? That's the question. All those seeds that my friends have given me, they're in a different bin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if we can target the age and make sure that we're not in that age where it became a thing.
Exactly. So that's going to be the big thing: is where are you in your seed stock, in your lines? What you're doing? What seeds do you have pre-post before anything? It's like the depression, like anything through time date where you are. Look where you are and look where it is. That's it. Mm-hmm. Look at the patterns after that. Start recognizing the patterns, and you start seeing some things in your brain and be able to identify. Go, okay, that's the change, and that's what we have. I just want to acknowledge you, because you brought my memory there. You put me into a time frame and be able to identify things that I've seen now, which is beautiful. And I know it's doing the same for everybody here in the chat, and people are going to listen to this in the future. So this is great knowledge for people. I just want to acknowledge everybody here for bringing up these subjects and really taking a look at our 2024 and the future of the industry, and what we can see, that vision of growth and passing on to those Gen Zs this knowledge, and this little time frame, this bubble, as we start moving forward to world legalization and really making that change. All right. Yeah. The world's legalizing, and we're the keys. So passing on it to the next generation is the keys that we need to pass on to you guys. So reach out and always talk to us here. We're here to serve. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And one of the main problems, and one of the reasons that Hop Slayton got out so much, and that's going back to mistakes that were made, is not having the SOPs, not using a different razor blade on each different mum. And that's how this got out so prevalently into the system now. But, having, like Toad has done, taken those, his progeny, had it tested, so he knows that that's clear. And I think that's the way moving forward. And John, you were saying you got a buddy that's actually come up with a test, or is in the process of coming up with a test?
Well, yeah, it's Plant Check. So Plant Check's online. So I do my CBD testing, THC testing. I've talked about this in the past. I've done all the testing with that. I did be able to test my THC levels, and I matched them to my COA. So they were very consistent with my COAs from the labs and then from this. So it gave me a rough ballpark. So I know if I had THC or CBD or what I was growing. It's most key. Right. What are you growing? Well, that same company, and I can see what's going on with them, and just chatting back and forth, they're actually designing and coming up with another safe test. They were able to get it home, a 3-pack, same thing, heat up the cannabis to do a little whatever they're going to do. I don't know what method yet. Let me just rephrase that. Yeah. I have no idea. Whatever method they're going to be using, so they can actually identify something, and it'll just simply be a test or whatever they're having. They'll be able to identify it in your home, so you're feeling safe with the product that you have, so you don't have to spread it or you don't have to finish it or whatever's going on. So it's just a way of being able to give the market what it needs, because people are curious and they want to know. And this is a quick way of being able to establish that, because labs are expensive and there's lineups, and there's only one in Vancouver, and I'm lucky I live 10 minutes from it.
Yeah, well, that's good. But
Testing on it. I've tested my strain. I got 6 or 7 different tests on it now. So I was making sure because it was within our area of our ecosystem, and we identified certain strains, and some houses were taken out completely because that was the Kush lines that got hit, and we're part of that. So of course I was around a lot of these places and guaranteeing that I stay safe. So stay safe. That's the most important part. Look at your future. Look at your vision, what you want, how you're getting it. Don't forget, write it down. Because if you don't write it down, then it can become real. Schedule it. Schedule your.
Right. Speaking of scheduling, we have Troy Hinkie from Living Roots Compost Tea on this afternoon with Leighton Morrison. That's definitely scheduled, for 2:00 Pacific. So that's the next show coming up, guys. We're at the hour. Tony, John, last words, my friends.
Keep growing.
Tony, you're on mute. Yep.
I said that sounds pretty good. Keep on growing. Have a good day.
Okay, guys. With that, peace out, everybody.